new patio set.
You heard Stefanski say he was going to treat it like a dress rehearsal, and then he said the starters were going to get, most of the starters, not Myles Garrett's of the world, right? But most of the starters were going to get 20 to 25 plays. Joe Flacco was going to get 20 to 25 plays.
Yeah.
Denzel Ward's probably not going to play, right?
No.
Yeah, we're hoping he can be ready for week one.
No, he is not playing. No.
So
him and Miles are not playing.
Yeah. Njoku, is he going to play?
I'd imagine no.
Okay. But a lot of starters will be playing.
Yeah. I bet the offensive line maybe sans Joel.
But then it's weird because didn't you hear that the Rams, some guys might not even making the flight?
No, it's Matt Stafford, I think, is not making the flight. Of course, he's got a bad back. You don't want to put him on a plane across the country, but you're going to let him play in 17 games, apparently.
Sure. Why not?
He has to have his back fused together. He has to have a backiotomy, and he has to get an epidural. I mean, that's basically what it is. Am I wrong, Owen? Am I wrong? Is that...
No, but I just typed in Matt Stafford in the X search, Twitter search. The first thing that came up was Matt Stafford dead.
What?
That's what there's...
The epidural went too far.
No, he's not. I'm just saying that's where it's at right now with their preseason with Matt Stafford.
Good God. Anywho... So, so you're not glad it's a dress or you're not happy it's a dress rehearsal?
It's just that it's
going to
be...
You want to see a little bit of Joe.
Yeah, I wanted to see our starters versus their starters if we were going to do this.
You're going to see our starters versus their starters. What's the line right now if you wanted to do such a thing? I don't know if you want to talk about the line. We'll just move on there. But either way, if we're not going to play basically any of their starters and you have some starters going out there, you do what you do with that. I think that
we
tomorrow...
shouldn't talk about the line, but it's currently Cleveland -7.5.
Ooh, doggies. It went up. Thought it was only 6.5 yesterday, listening to an afternoon drive. Okay, up to 7.5 now. Yeah, they'll be in town later. The Rams will be, and I don't know. I don't think they don't play any of their. It seems that Sean McVay hates preseason with a rigorous passion that would make a lot of fans excited. Which is a weird. They're a weird franchise because you do the. They're an interesting franchise because you do like the whole monkey see, monkey do thing in the NFL. It's like, well, they kept out all their starters. Look what they did. They went out and won the Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, not everybody has that type of culture. You got to really have strong people in your locker room if you're going to not sharpen iron by going out there and playing football.
Well,
it's basically how that works.
Look at the Bengals this year. They didn't want to get off to an 0-2 start for the fourth straight year.
You got Joe Burrow out there
taking
Bob Greasy Super Bowl 6 sacks out there. Now that is an historical reference. Listen, they need their work. They got to get their work in. I can't be terrified of injuries. I don't want Joe to get hurt for crying out loud. Like I am a little bit concerned about that. But, I mean, hey, it's preseason. It's football. These things happen. So you asked, are you okay with losing a guy for the season?
Well, that's what I want to get to because
the risk is the risk.
I saw a bunch of fans were excited that they were going to actually play some guys. And you can tune in and watch, although, you're not going to see Shedeur Sanders till what, the third quarter? Against what? The Rams' fifth stringers?
He's going to be the third quarterback, right?
Yeah. So
there's going to be a lot of waiters and guys who are trying to get scripts approved that are playing for the Rams somehow.
Yeah.
It's going to be that one quarterback from that one Lifetime movie that got all emotional and got in people's Twitter because of how he threw the football.
They're walking around with their headshots, trying to get hired by Shedeur for their film crew.
That dude was so upset. What was that movie? That girl walks right in there to that practice and starts having conversations with him, and he sucked, and he decided to do a video of him throwing, and he still sucked in real life. Go ahead, Tone.
So I do wonder, like, if you are excited, right, to tune in and see your Cleveland Browns and most of the starters play, can we say you can't get upset if somebody gets injured and is going to miss time? You can't have it both ways.
I solemnly swear I can't get upset.
I need a firm pledge.
Well, wait a minute. I can be a little depressed, can't I?
Yeah, you can be depressed.
Okay,
but you can't hammer
Stefanski. Okay, exactly. I'm not going to come in here and cuss out Kevin Stefanski if a guy gets hurt tomorrow.
No matter who.
Because the biggest names aren't playing. Miles ain't playing. Denzel ain't playing. I'm not sure about Njoku. I'm not sure about that. He is a big name. Again, I assume Joel is not going to play. DeJuan played last week.
Yeah, they want to get him reps.
Yeah, so I mean, he had to get ready for it. So listen, I can't sit there and coach the injury and be terrified of injury because if you're just terrified of injury, you're going to get canned. So, yeah, go ahead, get your work in there tomorrow and see what you do against those guys. It might be a little bit distressing because you got guys who are probably playing for some sort. I don't know if it's with the Rams. I think anybody who may play tomorrow, I don't know if they're. I mean, you can't sit all 53 guys. They're going to make your roster, but it seems that the Rams are probably going to try to sit as many of the 53 as they can who they think are going to make their roster. So you're going to have some desperate individuals out there in Rams uniforms who are trying to put something on tape. So it's the old Cactus Jack thing. You never know what they're going to do. They got nothing to lose. So if they got nothing to lose, bang, bang, they're going to go right after you. So that might be something.
I just don't want to hear.
I don't want to hear any bigger.
If you didn't get in today to voice your displeasure with them playing guys in the dress rehearsal, and you've had all week.
474-0092.
You've had all week to complain. How many complaints have we gotten this week?
Zero. Because I think everybody knows they need their work.
Guess what? You don't get to call in on Monday irate about the organization of the coach if somebody gets injured.
Well, because they didn't play no one last year, and you saw what happened last year. They certainly weren't ready to play. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys are still scoring points on that game.
Ass kicked by a team that was not good.
It's got a boat race by a team that, again, was not that good. So, yeah, I don't want to.
So, should you pre-complain today so that you can post-complain
get your complaints in. If you want the right to complain, it has to be legitimate, right? You can't be just doing it for the show.
Yeah, but if you complain today, you can't call in. If you complain today, and they somehow sit all these guys you want them to sit, then I don't want to hear you in week 3 how soft they are.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
you can't do they weren't ready to play. Well, you didn't want them to play anybody.
So one way or another, you better be a hard ass about things. If you don't want them to play, you better tell us, but you better be hard as hell when you tell us you don't want them to play. Other than that, get them out there. Get them all out there. Except for, the guys that you want to keep off the field.
That's right.
The big names that you want to keep off the field. Go put Joe Flacco out there for
So who are they going to start? Are they starting Stetson Bennett?
I believe so.
And he's had moments.
Stetson Bennett, hell, he's almost as old as Joe Flacco.
There's a certain part of Rams Twitter, when you go search through that want Stetson Bennett to start the season because they don't think Stafford is ready, even though Sean McVay yesterday in a press conference said he's responded well to his epidural all week and will be ready to go week 1.
Oh, my God.
But won't be traveling to Cleveland.
Somehow they found a way over the last couple of years. You thought that the bottom was going to fall out, and they still found a way to go 10-7 both those years and win the division last year. They won the division, I do believe, and made it to the divisional round where they lost to the Eagles. Ain't no fault in losing to the eventual Super Bowl champs. Yeah, it's a tough team. It's a weird team. That's the type of team where they're my reason why it's like, no, don't tank. They had every reason in the world to tank. Stafford won the Super Bowl. He fell off a cliff physically. I mean, he's still got it mentally, and if he can keep upright, he's still got an arm. But, I mean, physically, the poor guy's falling apart.
They had no draft picks.
They had no draft picks. They could have sat there and sucked up the room and won 4 games. Remember, I told you remember there was that whole conversation about them falling off? I go, you know what would be great if Sean McVay did? Get out of the Rams, go to the booth, be in the booth for a year, you get the pick of the litter.
We thought that's what he would do.
You get the pick of the litter. And there were so many people going, Ken, I agree. They got no picks. The bottom's falling out here. And they found a way with them vets to keep it going and to stay ahead. So for the ones who just want to tank it out every single year, and, that's the only way you can do it. I offer evidence to the contrary, and I offer the team that we're going to be playing tomorrow in the preseason. Because they still find a way to keep their heads above water. Jason Lloyd, he was on Afternoon Drive yesterday. And, Jason has a way of just making everybody upset, including myself. And he's just the messenger here. People don't like it. He does not have a good bedside manner. He reminds me of you. That's probably why I like hosting the show so much with him when you're out. You are out. You will always be my number 1. You understand that. But Jason's probably number 2. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I know what you want.
But would you be my number 1?
It has to happen. It has to happen. I'm going to wait. I didn't mean to set you up like that.
I was just saying it was very nice, but you might as well do it.
Yeah. Does Lima count?
Well, if he's your number 1.
Okay, power ranking. Lima number 1 with a bullet, like 18 spots. Dead serious. Then Jason.
Then you're going to slight like 4 other guys. Let's go.
Then Daryl.
All right. Respectable.
Wow.
Yeah. Then Daryl. No offense to anybody else. Sometimes me and Daryl burned the house down a couple of times. Me and Daryl had. Well, wait a minute. Nah, never mind. I can't say that one.
He's not here anymore.
Nah, Daryl definitely can help burn the house down. All right. Jason was on Afternoon Drive yesterday, and don't be mad at Jason. He's just reporting what he knows. If you're mad at anybody, be mad at the Browns, because he said basically this depth chart is set. Shedeur, he ain't passing Dillon Gabriel.
No, I don't think so. Not at this point. If this is going to happen, it would happen already. It's August 21st? If he was going to pass him, he would have passed him already. Now, if he goes out and plays out of his mind Saturday, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but I mean, we thought he played great against Jacksonville. And then he got hurt, understandably, maybe. But I don't think he was passing Dillon anyway. I think they like Dillon more. I think they trust Dillon more. And again, it may not make sense to you. It doesn't always make sense to me, but I think they're looking at things and looking for things differently than how we see it. And there's been plenty of quarterbacks who have looked terrific in preseason games who never panned out in the NFL. I think he will get a turn, but I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
Jason meant Carolina. I'm not going to hammer him for that, for crying out loud. I know what he said. The only counterpoint I would say, but it's only hoping, it's not, well, I don't want to say I hope, but it would only be a person's hope of they're notoriously quiet about everything. At least Kevin tries to be notoriously quiet about everything. A lot of other people are a lot over there. But he tries to be notoriously quiet about stuff and doesn't make big splashes, does not want to draw attention to depth charts and things like that. So they wouldn't change the depth chart even if there is a change. But at this juncture, I will tell you guys, I would be very surprised. And I personally disagree. But I know that they're trying to win as many games as they possibly can to keep themselves employed, so I understand what they're doing. I just, as a person who ain't going to get fired over their wins and losses, because I ain't their coach, I would want Shedeur number 2, because I think he has the highest ceiling, and I'd like to see as much as I possibly could before we go into next year's draft. But I think that that's definitely in the minority over there, and if they gave me all the reasons that I'm about to give you here with Jason Lloyd, I could probably understand where they're coming from. But I think as of right now, when we go into week 1 against Cincinnati, that week coming up in 2 weeks, I think Shedeur would still, I think they'll keep 4. I think everybody thinks that, and Shedeur will be number 4.
Obviously, we are privy to so little of what the team is seeing every day. We're seeing the beautiful throws. And again, apparently, a few days ago, he had 2 of the best throws you've ever seen at Browns training camp. Don't take my word for it. Zach Jackson said it.
Oh, Browns shared it too.
So, yeah. and the Browns have been sharing stuff, and obviously you saw the preseason game. And unfortunately, him not being able to play in that second preseason game, was that a huge hit, or were the Browns, did they already have their minds made up? I don't know. But they also have to trust him to run an offense. And the stuff that we see in preseason game number 1 probably has very little to do with running an offense. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I know that's hard because we've seen so many rookies just come in and perform that you just get excited. You get excited when you hear elite ability to be accurate. Mm-hmm. And I keep hearing that about Shedeur. Not his Colorado people saying that. People in the NFL that are saying elite levels of accuracy. So part of me is like, how does that not translate to the NFL? But if the coaches are seeing stuff behind the scenes that, I mean, he's got to be failing every test. I don't know any other way that this could be possible that he's 4th on the depth chart, other than they think he can't do any of the stuff related to actually running an offense.
Is it he's failing every test, or is he just not ready? Failure is a strong word to use.
Wouldn't that be not? What's the difference?
Is a strong word.
If he's passing the test, then he'd be ready, right?
But is he even being tested?
I would hope so. I would think they're doing that with all the quarterbacks.
Well, what's the
meaning,
as far as the test?
Meaning, all right, do you know the playbook? Check. Can you get us in and out of these sets? Do you understand and recognize what you're seeing defensively? That linebacker, we have him signaled. All right, we have action here. We've got, pre-snap motion. All right, keep your eyes on him. What does this mean? What does this trigger mean? Okay, all those different things that you would think, he's born in a football family. I'd be surprised if this stuff wouldn't come easy to him. But what other reason would it be? Like, what is holding him back, I guess, is what I don't understand. And why is Dillon Gabriel still ahead of him?
Probably has to be, one, the injuries involved, I'm sure. 2, it would have to be the processing. But again, if your processing isn't there,
Dillon injured too?
Yeah, Dillon was injured, but Dillon obviously started off higher than him. So there's always going to be preconceived notions, right? You use a word, what is it? Confirmation bias? If you're there, if you already had him ahead of Shedeur Sanders, what can Shedeur really do to get ahead of him? Because this goes on with what Jason said a little bit later on, is that the Browns, they flat out trust Dillon Gabriel more than they do Shedeur.
I think they trust him more. I think they believe that he can handle more. And I was talking to an NFL coach this week who watched the tape of Shedeur's first game against Carolina and said he was late. He was really, really late. He said, I know the numbers look great, but he was really late on a lot of throws and a lot of places. It was nowhere near where the ball was supposed to go. Now, that's an NFL coach saying that. That's not me saying that. And when we watch it, we see, the throw he made in the end zone was an unbelievable throw. NFL coaches are looking at different things than we are. Obviously, that's why he went to the 5th round. Mm-hmm. That's why he stuck behind Dillon Gabriel. They're looking for things differently than what we think we see with our eyes. That's the only explanation I have. And I say that as someone who wants to see Shedeur play.
We all want to see Shedeur. I think there's just a giant difference between the fans, the media, and the Browns. And I think that this is going to be a weird thing where I can see a mess coming. What do they do to avoid the mess? What do they do? Because it's
well. What do you mean by mess?
The possibilities of a season, a mess between the Browns not doing very well this year, them putting out quarterbacks we don't want to see, and then us screaming and yelling about the Cleveland Browns being terrible and a terrible organization and terribly coached and a lot of things that maybe we might have to take back or might just all be affirmed. Like, that's the type of mess I'm talking about. Like, them not being a very good football team, them losing games, and us sitting here pounding the table, wanting to see one quarterback because we think we're wasting our time with the other ones. I have not got to see Kenny Pickett really in a Browns uniform whatsoever. Joe Flacco, we know about Joe. I don't know how long Joe's going to play, and if you just go down the line, it's Joe, great, because it's August 21st, 22nd. You go, Joe, great. Kenny, whatever, Shedeur. Guys, I think we've already seen, do you or do you not think, I know it's been one preseason game and one half. I think we've gotten way closer to Dillon Gabriel's ceiling of what we're going to see with him than we've ever will with Shedeur.
Well,
I feel one guy has such a stronger ceiling.
That's hard for me to say just based on very little preseason action.
The fans can only go by what they've seen.
Obviously,
Anthony.
I thought that before the preseason. I'm not going to ding Gabriel for as little as I've gotten to see, and quite frankly, as little as I've got to see from Shedeur either. Fine, Jason Lloyd saying he talked to a coach that said he's late on all these throws. Again, such a small sample, and that inherently is the issue with this setup is you were guaranteeing a small sample, the smallest sample possible, even smaller than all the other young quarterbacks in the league. You were guaranteeing that by this ridiculous setup. And I'm surprised that I don't hear more criticism about the setup.
The more you call it ridiculous as the season goes on, the louder that becomes. Because I think people are somewhat hopeful. There's definitely people out there that think this is already an unmitigated disaster. I'm not one of them yet, but I'm hopeful. And I think there's a lot of people are because we're at the beginning of a season and it's going to be a long year, 17 weeks, we're 18 weeks, where a lot of people are hoping that, hey, this isn't going to be as terrible as what some people say, but you can already see it from here. If Shedeur is going to be number 4 and I look at you and you don't disagree with me that Shedeur's ceiling is higher, then I think a lot of us are going to get to, guys, you're 2-7. What are you doing with this kid out here? What are you doing with Kenny Pickett out here? Why do I have the guy that Kenny was talking about gloves and not being that great a quarterback and the Steelers running him out of town and saying he was not a good leader and all that other crap? Why are we playing this guy when I got either Dillon, and then we'll get to the Dillon stuff, and then I got Shedeur Sanders sitting there where I got a guy like Zach Jackson who we're going to play coming up at 6:42 where he says that in a year he could end up being great.
I think they trust him more. I think they believe that he can handle more. And I was talking to an NFL coach this week who watched the tape of Shedeur's first game against Carolina and said he was late. He was really, really late. He said, I know the numbers look great, but he was really late on a lot of throws and a lot of places. It was nowhere near where the ball was supposed to go. Now, that's an NFL coach saying that. That's not me saying that. And when we watch it, we see, the throw he made in the end zone was an unbelievable throw. NFL coaches are looking at different things than we are, obviously. That's why he went to the 5th round. That's why he stuck behind Dillon Gabriel. They're looking for things differently than what we think we see with our eyes. That's the only explanation I have. And I say that as someone who wants to see Shedeur play.
He said a current NFL coach? Okay, because I am getting texts from people who are listening. Can I say my personal texts brought to you by, I'll just say, I'm getting texts from people who are listening. I'm not trying to out Jason's sources whatsoever, but they make such a good point, I have to put it out there. I'm not going to sit there and speculate on his sources, all right? But he says, it's interesting, you have an NFL coach that said that about Shedeur, talking about Jason. One, could it be a Browns coach? Because what other NFL coach is sitting down wasting time watching Shedeur do film study right now? Or watching Shedeur on film right now?
He said an NFL coach. He didn't say current or former. He just said an NFL coach.
Because what other coach would know what his read should be with these play calls? They have no idea how he's being coached with this offense and what they're looking to get done. I think some people... All right, if there was... The person texting me is making a hell of a point here. I didn't even think about it. Now, I'm not going to call up Jason and go, who's your source? Because that's silly, and I'm not going to do that. But the only thing I could say is that the system, the offense is the offense. Other teams run this offense. Kevin is not just the only person who's ever run this offense in the history. So he might know where that Shedeur needs to go to the football watching this. But the first part of it, if it's a current NFL coach, they're watching their own guys. They got to pick a 53. They might be getting ready for, unless it was a Carolina coach. That's the only other thing I would think of. Maybe it was a guy from Carolina. Do we need to look over the Carolina? Nah, I don't want to do anything like that. That would be a hell of a point. So if it's a person who maybe is inside, I don't know, then you're kind of saying how far he has to go. Which is not failing a test to me. Sorry.
Real quick, Anthony. What if it's a coach of a team that's looking for a quarter? They don't think they have their quarterback right now. And so they're watching other teams that could be moving on.
In terms of like a backup, not a starter, right?
Yeah. That would be what? Jets, Colts. I
think there's a lot of those out there right now.
All right. Well, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. What were you going to say there, Tone?
That I just from the 30,000 foot perspective of watching the little that any of us have gotten to watch. It's going to be hard for Browns fans, especially the ones that are really optimistic about Shedeur. It's going to be hard for them to have to hear about how late he is on all these throws when they also saw the other rookie quarterback. And he didn't look any better than Shedeur. In fact, I think all of us would say Shedeur looked better.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard. So he was just getting lucky, but Dillon Gabriel was getting unlucky. It's just going to be hard for any fans to want to hear that, especially when all they're hearing is Shedeur's accuracy, how great his accuracy is. So, yeah, okay, you expect most rookie quarterbacks are going to be behind. Now, famously, Patrick Mahomes, even after a year of waiting and where they were grooming him to be the next guy, all you heard from Patrick Mahomes was, I still couldn't read a defense. It took me 3 years in the NFL before I could read where a linebacker was. So, okay, so every rookie is going to be behind. That doesn't mean you should be behind Dillon Gabriel. That still doesn't answer that question.
The only reason I would think he is behind, and you're right, the play on the field would tell fans otherwise. So you want to trust your own eyes when you're watching it. But if all this is preparation and getting ready for it, then I would imagine that Dillon Gabriel, even though Shedeur has played a lot of football in his own right, Dillon Gabriel is probably better at the pregame preparation, knowing what they want to do in the offense. He's played in so many different offenses that he's ready to go earlier than what Shedeur is. I would say, again, the talent, and I got several people disagreeing with me online, 216-474-0092. I feel that the talent, the ceiling, is all on Shedeur's side. But when I say that this is heading towards a mess, is that you know where this goes. If they don't win games with Joe, you're immediately going to think, what are we wasting our time with Kenny Pickett for? And then already I think a lot of people go, how high could the ceiling really be on Dillon Gabriel?
Yeah, has
anybody at all said that Dillon Gabriel could be a really good NFL quarterback, franchise quarterback? Not a single person has said it. Even when they drafted him, it was, well, this guy could be a good backup in the NFL.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Where I have Zach Jackson,
and that was the optimistic point of view.
And we got Zach Jackson on his podcast, and this is Zach, who is as Eeyore as anybody, who's saying that Shedeur could be really good within a year of development.
I think Shedeur's strengths of being able to layer the ball, being able to have the right timing while on the move or about to be on the move or as a play kind of breaks down really showed that. He does have elite accuracy and placement when he's on. He hasn't been on every day. He's been on a lot of days. He is worth further development. And again, don't rush these guys. Let's all see Shedeur Sanders after a year. And whether that year means 9 months or 12 months or 16 or even 24 of NFL weight room, NFL coaching / meeting / playbook / a little bit of seasoning, actually being used to his surroundings and teammates. I'm telling you, there is a starting quality, really tantalizing player in there. But in terms of actually getting there and doing it the right way, there doesn't need to be a rush. And for all the Sanders fans who have screamed, he's better, he's better, he's better, as I've told you many times, yes, think bigger. The kid is good enough.
That's great. And I love that Zach said that. But as a Browns fan who also does like Shedeur Sanders, I don't have the time. Because you could see a scenario where if Kevin gets fired after this year, you're taking a quarterback still in the first round next year. Kevin gets fired this coming year, if he were. I don't want him fired, but if it goes that way, then damn it, like a new coach, does a new coach want any of that? Does a new regime want any of that? They may just let Sanders go, and by that time, the Sanders fans might just be championing it that he gets let go by the Browns.
They won't want him here. Yeah,
and I would like him to have his shot.
Because the focus is going to be on the Browns draft pick next year. That quarterback is going to get all the scrutiny. They're going to want him to get all the reps. They're not going to want to be splitting reps. And even then at that point, you're right. So I think, unfortunately for Shedeur, this now, what you would have thought would have been a good situation for him because we don't have a quarterback. Now you're hearing he's not ready. He's got to wait. He's got to sit out. He's got to learn. Well, that takes us right into next year where, hey, the focus is going to be on the next top draft pick.
And for a Browns fan out there, and this is a fan of any team, your money's your money. You spend your money, but you're talking about your emotions, really, and your time is your biggest currency. You do not want to have your time wasted. You want to have your season to stand for something. And I would say that the majority of Browns fans out there would feel that their time will not be wasted if they see Shedeur Sanders earlier than later. They would feel that their time is wasted with Kenny Pickett or Dillon Gabriel. It's that simple. I have a guy that Zach Jackson, who has, one quarterback in the history of us talking to Zach with the Browns? 1, 2, maybe? And how much do you like it? Saying these nice things about Shedeur Sanders, saying these good things about Shedeur Sanders. It's like, I want him to be ready. I don't want to rush him. If he's not ready, we're gonna soil him before we get the chance to do it. But man, you're gonna reach a point there where you're gonna get around Thanksgiving, and if this team ain't doing well and it ain't Joe Flacco out there, you're gonna go, what is this? What are we doing here? What is holding him back? Because already fans don't trust the Browns. So if they're telling you Shedeur isn't ready, there's going to be plenty of people going, I don't believe you. Put him in because I'm going to be here. You may not be. And I want to see what this kid has before I invest my emotions and my time in one of these other guys that are getting ready to play in college next week.